When you get to that point and you realize like there's so much power in sharing your story and being vulnerable, the first question that I would tell you to ask yourself is, are you healed from the situation? Because if this is a trauma-based story or incident, you don't want to put that out if you haven't like done the work for yourself, because then you're opening yourself up to even more like response, or you're making yourself more vulnerable to situations that like can take even more time to can make it a lot harder for you to heal. Once you've like figured that out, and sometimes like you don't have to be fully healed from a situation, but at least aware of like what you're about to do. And then once you have that mindset, I'll use the example for Sold in America. I did a 3-part documentary and 10-part podcast series on the sex trade in the US. And the first episode of the podcast, I explained why I did it. And it was because of my first instance of sexual violence that I went through when I was 12. And that was a really traumatic experience. But I had shared it after I had like literally gone to therapy while filming the documentary, and like, why is this messing me up so much? And I had faced it, and then I had shared it publicly. And sometimes it's not to that severity, but as long as you realize in that process that when you, whatever it is that you're sharing, people's opinions about that situation and their thoughts, they do not have power over you. Like, you have shared your truth and no one can negate, like, your truth is your truth is your truth. Once that's out there, like, whatever people say about it or do with it is none of your business. Like, you've already done your part. Once you realize that it's none of your business, like what people say about you is none of your business, what people write about you is none of your business, and you just do your part and you realize that there's going to be benefit in that and it's going to help people, like, it's easier to let go of everything else that might make you feel uncomfortable. But it's okay, because the vulnerability in that part is the strength, because that's what allows you to connect with people and have more empathy and compassion for other people. And people will reach out to you and be like, wow, thank you so much. Like, you saw me. And that's all people want, is to be seen, heard, and valued. And those are the like, when you keep that in mind and then you share, it's so much easier.
I also think that there are certain universal truths in life that you can accept and make life a lot easier to live and get by. And one of them is that the quality of your life will be dictated not by what happens to you, but what happens next. I have found that to be 100% true. And that's very early on in my childhood when I was going through a ton of stuff and had that why, just cursing the ground I was born into, that I made a decision that things don't happen to me. I happen to things.
Yes.
You first have to start off by recognizing that any form of trauma or victimization is an event. It's a fact. You cannot make that fact go away. So if you don't first accept that this did happen to you, then you can never heal. But if once you accept that it happened to you, but it's not going to define you, then you can sort of transcend it. And so I'm very careful with this topic, because I never want to invalidate somebody's trauma.
Totally.
But I also know that if you don't transcend it, you'll never overcome it, right? And then and I remember I used to get so angry when I was young, saying like, I do not want to spend the rest of my life in therapy because my dynamic with my mother is totally twisted and I'm the parent, you're the child, right? And so I would have that open conversation. Those open conversations were the thing that set the course of my life, to resist being defined by that early childhood experience. So anybody out there going through it, I would just say to you, like, it is a universal fact that life is defined by what happens next, not by what happened to you. But be generous and tender with yourself, and first, give yourself a hug, and then know that you can transcend it.